When you're running any type of restaurant, bar, or other establishment, beer is very important, and how it is delivered is important, and that's where draft comes into play. The last thing you want is a bunch of angry, thirsty customers. In many establishments, what you'll find is they have a direct draw system, or that's a keg box that would be mounted underneath the bar and would feed directly up into a tower or faucet. Some of the advantages of that would be that you have a keg right here, you have a short draw system, and you're not going to have a lot of waste because it's pulling directly up into the faucet. If you have a long draw system, the first component you're going to see is going to be the power pack. Basically what a power pack is a refrigeration unit that houses glycol, and glycol is food grade antifreeze. So what it does is it pumps this glycol out of this frozen bath all the way up to the tower and then back again to make sure that the beer stays super cold from back to front, and it also, of course, keeps it from foaming. One of the other things you need to take into consideration if you have a long draw system is what you're pushing that beer with. If you push beer too far with straight CO2, you will literally push CO2 in the beer and make it wild and foaming. So you will need either a beer blast or a blender system. And what this does is it takes nitrogen and CO2, mixes them together, and pushes the beer through the system. That way you get a perfect balance and no foam. One of the next pieces you're going to see in a draft system is going to be the coupler. If you've ever tapped a keg, you're very familiar with this. Basically, its job is to tap into a keg, and then you extend the handle down, which releases CO2 onto the keg and makes the beer pour. So the device that you see now is a fob, and it stands for froth on beer or foam on beer. And it has a great job in a long draw draft system. It basically, when the keg runs out, it tells the beer to stop pouring, so you don't fill your lines up with a bunch of foam and you don't have a lot of waste. Another very important factor is temperature. Whether it's long draw or short draw, you want to make sure your cooler remains at 38 degrees because that's the optimal temperature. Last but not least, we're going to talk about quality and how it affects beer. In these draft systems, you have to be sure that the lines are cleaned every 2 weeks. The couplers are cleaned with that. The faucets are taken apart and cleaned. You can literally get beer stone buildup in these lines. You can get yeast buildup in these lines, and that's going to affect your beer in a lot of different ways. All right, so those are the basics of a well-maintained quality draft system. Cheers.